Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our show. It is T-minus 5 days till the election. I'm your producer, Jack Tunney, and we have a great show for you today. As always, we'll start with the first bite. Then, because it is our last show before the election, we thought we'd talk about something important. Our sandwich will focus on the youth of America and their participation in American politics. Finally, we will give you a low-fat edition of the milk. That being said, go like and subscribe to our channel, and make sure to comment down below so that we can respond to any questions or comments. Thank you for your support. Now, without further ado, in association with SitRep Media, the hosts of the PB&J podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the PB&J podcast. I'm Peter Whitehead.
And my name is Brandon Blackman.
Yeah, so we're just going to jump right into the first bite with a story on a new warning from top Trump official.
They're warning us now?
Yeah, unusual for them.
Surprising.
Yeah.
Like
so the coronavirus testing czar, what's his name? I wrote this down somewhere.
They even have a role for that guy?
He says that we might go to, and I'm quoting here, draconian measures if America doesn't mask up. So that means, wear our masks, make sure that we're maintaining social distance, make sure that we're keeping our, gatherings below a certain number or whatever. Otherwise, he'll have to put in draconian measures to contain the virus. Because as of right now, we showed you a map last week. We aren't going to show you a map this week, but it's worse now than it was last week, that map that we showed you.
Yeah,
so,
but I love how, draconian measures, that's not clearly defined as anything. That's not, we're going to implement these certain policies.
It just means that it's like, policies from the Middle Ages, basically.
Yeah, but it's not like, with Trump, they're never proposing anything, concrete and like a list of processes or anything. It's just, we're going to do this or else. And it's never, clearly explained what this is. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay. And weren't last week they were just saying that they weren't going to do anything to stop it. They were just going to focus on treatments and therapeutics.
Well, they say lots of stuff all the time. And
so it's like,
most of it should be taken for granted.
Yeah, like.
We should just But yeah, I thought it was interesting because that's really kind of the first Trump official that's come out and been like, yo, this is bad.
We've been wearing masks, my guy. It's
yeah. Oh, I didn't put my mask in the props section. It's unfortunate.
Oh, I got mine.
Oh, you got yours?
No, I don't got mine.
Oh, okay.
It's
he
just
takes it back.
disheartening that we're still telling people to mask up. How?
Yeah,
Why?
9 months into this, we're still talking about that same issue. Is it 9 months? 8 months?
It's been 7 months.
7 months?
Almost 8.
But yeah, so that's going great for us. We're gonna have more updates on that next week. We'll talk a little bit more about about COVID again. I wanted to move on to this next story, which is about a horrible attack that happened in France, in Nice, France.
Yeah, this is breaking pretty much.
Yeah, it's like this week it happened a couple days ago. But yeah, there was a terrorist attack. It killed the attacker killed 3 people.
And they're saying that it's like a Muslim extremist, but there hasn't been any sort of memento or manifesto is the word I'm thinking. Memento. I know there hasn't been any manifesto or any sort of Twitter posts or anything like that confirming it. So it is just a lot of speculation right now.
Well, yeah, the French historically assume that the terrorist attacks in their country are Islamic extremism, and they have reasons for that, but they're not all great reasons.
I think
there were significant terrorist attacks in France.
I think
several
that
of them.
Americans don't realize that Europe is close to Africa and the Middle East, and their immigration problem is 100% different than ours. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really making a decision on what they should be doing about it, but the tensions there are, I would say, higher on a daily basis compared to here. Because we have our immigration crisis in California, but some states not at all. You know what I'm saying?
In America, we talk about racism a lot. And we talk about the problems that we face and our history, our original sin, and everything. France is an extremely racist country. an extremely racist country. They, if you're even from the colonies, the old colonies of France, like they don't even like you. So it's interesting and disheartening to see this response right now, and a lot of Muslims who live in France, and they do have a large population of Muslims there.
Yeah, like I said, North Africa is right across
Yeah.
the Mediterranean Sea. Like that's something I didn't process until like this year.
Yeah. And I would be worried if I was a Muslim in France right now, especially with language like, the French officials saying Islamic separatism and they are the enemy within and things like that. Like that would make me feel unsafe. If they were saying that about, skinny white boys from California, I would feel,
Macron said that we need to fight, we as in the French, we need to fight for freedom against the Islamic ideology. It's
Yes.
like, whoa. It's like some,
Yeah.
like there's just some kind of subtext to that, man, that you do not want to get, start attracting the wrong crowds.
For sure.
But,
Yeah. So I'm my heart does go out to the victims of this attack and their families and
scary,
everything. My heart also goes out to the people, the peaceful, non-extremist Muslims who just practice their faith. They're like a peace-loving people. Like I know Muslims. They're not what everyone says they are. They're
I don't
extremists
care
of
about-
every like sect of religion, culture,
of
and
course.
they all do crazy things. Like
man, I don't care what's going on in your private house and your private religion, like as long as it's not affecting others. This reminds me of the Charlie Hebdo situation, of course, that tragic situation, because it seems like recently there has been like a revival of like the Muhammad imaging and people using that.
we may have some technical difficulties here. Technical difficulties there. We hope we're back now. What we were just saying, Brandon was just saying that about the Charlie Hebdo situation.
Oh yeah, I mean that situation was crazy because they were, one, using their freedom of speech, but two, using their freedom of speech to use the image of Muhammad, which has long been a very controversial thing,
Yeah.
like leading to deaths, like it's happened historically. And, recently online, I've even seen like this, it's happened over the last 3 weeks where I've seen it become like a meme, Muhammad. So it's
Their
like,
prophet.
yeah, their prophet.
What if it was like, you got to imagine it from the other perspective. What if Muslims were the predominant religion and there were people using like the likeness of, I don't know, Christ or
Little Jesus
or
memes
David,
something.
or
it's-
or any of the other prophets that you can think, like the Buddha, like what if that was happening? I feel like people would feel offended. I feel like the Bible thumper evangelicals in this country would feel offended by like Jesus Christ being memeified.
Well, on one hand, you have to work together with, those peoples to, understand their beliefs. And then two, you have to, work. If you have those extreme beliefs, you have to work with your larger community to find some sort of solution. Like,
Yeah.
we can't just kill people every time we see Muhammad forever. Like, and that's
Yeah.
not against all Muslims. That's just looking towards a solution. Like,
Yeah.
and the back to what the French officials were saying when they are saying stuff that is only going to foster more division. That's not going to solve anything, and that's only going to make things worse. So I don't very sad. It's just sad.
And yeah, it's sad on both sides. I mean, it's sad on all of the sides here. It's sad that these 3 people were killed. It's sad that the French are using this as an opportunity to shit talk Islam and Muslim people.
Yeah,
And-
it's not working towards a solution.
Yeah, it's just building up to more problems. That's a very depressing note, but I think we should move on.
I mean, Europe is crazy. Like
a crazy place.
It's a whole different kind of energy out there.
It's a whole different
I
world.
don't understand it,
It's
honestly.
a whole new world.
Actually, we're the new world, but anyway.
It's a whole old world.
So we're going to go back to election news now, and we're going to kind of transition into our grand sandwich. Oh, I kind of like that.
The grand sandwich.
But lots of election news, especially with all the mail-in ballots. So we all know how Trump was claiming a lot of stuff, a lot of conspiracies about how the mail system would never be able to handle the mail-in ballots. Well, then we know that he and his administration worked to dismantle the USPS and defund and slow them down. And now we're actually seeing the effects of that happening.
In the most important state in this election, by the way.
Yeah, seriously, Pennsylvania. This study was found, and the numbers actually range from about 40% to 60%. But this story is revolving around the mail delays. So this report in The Hill was talking about how about 42% of all of the first-class mail in Pennsylvania, and that's an average because the numbers go up and down.
Right.
But as of this week and as of October, 42% of all first-class mail is taking longer than 5 days to reach its destination.
Dude.
Which is, extreme. That's not normal. And to prove that it's extreme, 2 weeks ago, before these election, time numbers, the 42%, 2 weeks ago, that number was only 33%. So it's gone up 9% in 2 weeks. But then the article also shows that at the beginning of the year, that number was 13%. So it's showing that, one, the volume of mail is slowing down the process. But then, two,
That's so crazy, dude.
the USPS has not been fortified with federal funds or whatever to be able to handle that. It's what I always say. Trump brings up these problems but doesn't actually go to solve them. He just...
he makes them happen quicker.
Exactly, And that's only in Philadelphia, actually, that 42% number. Yeah. In more rural areas like central Pennsylvania, there was a 57% number. That 7% of their first-class mail was being delayed more than 5 days, which is, like I said, up from 13% at the beginning of the year, 1 year.
Less than a year. 10 months.
Yeah.
11 months.
Yeah, so obviously we can say that this is a now problem. There's not that many variables changing that kind of equation. So...
Yeah, I would just say, in response to that, at this point, probably shouldn't be mailing in your ballot. When this show comes out, it'll only be a day before the election.
Yeah. But today's Thursday, 5 days before.
You definitely shouldn't be mailing in your ballot on a day before the election. But I wouldn't even mail it in right now. I think that Trump is going to try to strike any ballots that come in after Election Day via litigation. He's going to do everything he can to possibly win this election. So
he's actually said that now too. He said,
"Yeah,
I don't know if our laws actually account for. I don't know if it's in the rule book that we can count votes after November 3rd."
At this point, don't mail in your ballot. You're going to want to use drop-off boxes. You're going to want to vote in person. I know that's not optimal, but some people are doing it. I'm sure. It's going to be safe to the best of their ability. It's going to be safe. I'm working the poll stations. They're doing as much as they possibly can to make it safe.
Mm-hmm. I've always planned to vote in person just because I like it.
I might see you.
Nope. You won't.
How do you know?
Because I live over there.
Yeah, but my polling station is over there.
Where?
I'm in the county of Oceanside, dude. Or city of Oceanside, so I'm in one of the polling stations. Libby Elementary.
You
I'm gonna count Brandon's votes twice.
Got you, Trump. Radical left. But actually, I do want to mention on this story that ballots are being, separated out. So they are trying to get ballots ahead of the line and trying to push them through. So the numbers were saying that about 80% of the ballots are getting through before the 5-day deadline. So we shouldn't expect anything crazy to happen from this story, but it is still...
We want your vote to be counted. Even if you're a small percentage of the population, we want your vote to be counted, I'd say.
This shows the direct injuries inflicted by Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to slow down the USPS. USPS slowed down.
Yeah, and here we are.
Vote him out.
Vote him out. Rock the vote.
Rock the boat.
And here we would normally, so that's the end of our first bite. Here we would normally put in our questions for the boys segment, but we got no questions.
All right.
Sad boys.
Come
That's
on,
the
Hannah.
sad boys segment. Where were you, Hannah?
Where were
we
you?
counted on you.
We did.
Okay, so let's get into the sandwich. And this sandwich, we're going to be talking about the youth of America. The reason for that being is I think predominantly the people who watch this show are in that age range.
Our generation.
So I'm going to define the youth vote first, just so that we have an understanding of when I say that, what I mean. So the youth vote is usually considered to be 18 to 25, 18 to 29, but it is occasionally considered 18 to 25. For the sake of simplicity, though, for the remainder of the podcast, we will be referring to the 18 to 29 range when we talk about the youth vote. Okay, just makes it easier with the numbers. There's a lot more statistics on that age group than the 18 to 25 age group.
Okay.
In the U.S., that age group accounts for 16.34% of the adult population. So that doesn't seem like a lot, but 16% can sway an election.
Yeah, it's definitely surprisingly lower than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But if we could form a coalition of that 16%, we could come
That's what I'm
together
saying.
and make change.
And if the other thing too is that we don't have a great turnout rate. And I'll talk about a little bit of that later. But let's say the turnout rate was 50% on youth voters. That would mean only 8% of us are voting, and that means that our segment is only 8% of what is being counted. So the more of us that vote, the more power that we have. And so we for sure
Getting that
need to
full
vote.
16%.
Yeah, we need that full 16% so that we can make changes and make sure that we get the types of things that we want as a generation, which is different than the types of things that our parents and our grandparents want.
Completely.
We need to vote and use that power because 16% is not nothing, guys. Like, we're not pointless. We don't have we do have power and we can use it. So what are some of those topics though, Brandon, that youth may be more inclined towards?
Well, I think it's important to mention that the youth is always growing as well.
Yes.
So getting our voices heard is not only just, a state by state issue, but, the entire country. So it was interesting to see that obviously climate change is going to be a number one issue for a lot of people. But three other issues I would say are, making up that top four would be the Electoral College and, forming a more direct democracy, a more representative democracy. Which I would also include political spending, because that's where I would take that.
Yeah.
But also healthcare, Medicare for all, forming some new system.
It's a human right.
See, a lot of people aren't ready to push for Medicare for all themselves, but that direction is that question is going to be answered soon. And also just jobs in the economy with our age group being the age group that's graduating high school, graduating college.
Trying to get a job
in the new economy.
Yeah.
We've grown up, under 30, we've grown up in an era where we've seen 2 economic crashes. Back to the Electoral College.
4 wars.
We've seen 4 wars. The Electoral College, we've seen 2 presidents win without winning the popular vote. So it's understandable for our people, to be, upset and want some radical change. But I would say the number one issue is definitely climate change. And that's because it defines our life. It not only defines our lives, but the global, state of life for everybody. And so it's a report from the Cause and Social Influence Initiative found that climate change was the top issue for 34% of Gen Z and 27% of millennials. So that's a plurality.
Yeah.
That is, double 16%. That is a fat percentage of the country, and that just shows that this issue isn't going away. This issue isn't a trend. This is going to be a long-standing issue. And overall, it's important to mention that these voters are more progressive than their ancestors,
Yes.
than their fathers and their grandfathers, just because, the times have changed. And this election can show that more than anything. This is kind of an obscure example, but it works because the Democratic primary, We saw that like 70% of people under 45 are voting for Bernie, and then 70% of people above 45 are voting for Biden. And even within the Democratic Party, you see that there is a large section of people who are just ready to push a little harder against the status quo.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can see the youth vote kind of unite and concede some of their positions with the Biden folks. But also it can show that there is a strong movement behind these causes, like the Green New Deal, like Medicare for All, like, reorganizing the Electoral College. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, specifically on climate change, we have to recognize how drastic this issue has gotten. And I do want to take a second just to slow down on that. And I want to pull up this first link, which shows the climate crisis.
Tunny.
This first link, yeah.
Guy. And what we are going to see here is an Instagram page I follow called Climate Collapse. I would all go check that out if you're into climate collapse. But every year, obviously when it gets hot, the ice in the Arctic freezes and melts and refreezes and melts, a cycle. And what you're looking at is the rate of growth or the extent of the ice, how large it is, the area of the ice. So every year it melts to the lows that you can see at the red line. 2020 has the lowest lows of any year ever. But
By a long shot, too.
By a long shot. And we'll see a little more on the other graph on how it melted earlier than ever before too. But keep it there for a second. And you can see that even into November, the refreeze hasn't begun. Every other year before that, even the most recent year, which that's 2019 right there, the second longest line. So we're having these clear, distinct, longer refreeze periods that are only going to increase the chance of an extreme catastrophic event of no refreeze and another year of melt, which people call a blue ocean event. And that could be a whole topic right there. But if you're interested, go Google BOE, blue ocean event, because it's end of the world type kind of fears.
Oh, good.
Or if you need a visual
We
representation.
needed more of that on this show is what we...
If you need a 2-hour representation, watch Water World.
I was going to think of a different movie, but I
Love
have
that
not
movie.
seen that movie.
What other water-based
The Day After
movie?
Tomorrow, have you seen that?
That's a great movie, too.
Yeah, you're
That
right.
was my movie. But go to the next graph, please, Tunny, of the Siberian Arctic. It's the one in the middle, it should be. Because you can see how it melted way earlier than any other year as well. So we are getting hotter springs, hotter falls, and it's just causing this massive cycle-breaking, earth-breaking... I'm freaking out. But go back
gonna be okay,
to
buddy.
us.
We're
Go
gonna be
back to
okay.
us, please. And then I also want you to get ready to pull up the second image, because it shows why people don't realize that climate change is an issue. If you look closely at this image, you'll see that. Do you have it big? Do you have it zoomed in? Look at America. You'll see California is red.
Somebody point and say, this is America.
And you'll see the East Coast and the Midwest is blue.
Don't catch you slipping up.
So when people in the Midwest say, it's actually been colder here, I don't know what people are talking about. This is literally it.
Yeah, but then look at Siberia.
Exactly.
That's a deep red.
This map right here shows you that some areas are not being affected by global heating as much as others. Look at Siberia. The country I always think about is the Southeast Asia. That area will be decimated by rising sea levels.
Yeah, Singapore could be underwater.
Bro, all of it.
Yeah.
Like all of it. There's so many little islands and Hawaii and everything, and that would just drive our immigration crisis through the roof, driving up those tensions, driving up the just a whole new chaotic issue. And I think that's also wrapped up in climate change. How are we going to handle the human toll?
Well, here's how I'm going to handle it.
Dude, don't say that. Dude. Don't. we're gonna be carbon neutral by 2050. Thanks, Biden. But
Hey, that's a good goal, man.
it's an amazing goal. It's
Yeah, that would
I
have been
mean,
a great goal if you made it like 30 years ago.
the amazing
Are you serious?
groundbreaking thing about this stuff.
30 more years?
Hold on. Brandon's on a point, though.
He's right.
Nobody or no society has ever had to wrap up our industries and our resources to accomplish such a grand task as saving the world, literally.
Yep.
And it would be worth any cost. It would be worth any debt.
Yep.
And, for Trump in the debates, is my last point on this, by the way. Trump in the debates to say, oh, Biden, he's going to spend $100 trillion on Green New Deal, and they're going to, well, first off, it's not $100 trillion, and two, all of the cost of all of disasters that will happen because of climate change.
Think about how much money California spends on fires right now. How much money Louisiana and the Texas coast and Alabama are spending on hurricane
back-to-back
reconstruction
every year.
Every year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and this is going to start affecting...
And the tornadoes in the Midwest, like all of that stuff. But we're talking about famine. We could have another dust bowl if it gets hot enough, where the crops stop growing.
Yep. I mean, I was already seeing that was kind of happening with the extreme windstorms in Iowa.
Yeah.
There was a lot of crop loss, and then it's also a lot drier this year too, compared to how we had the El Nino or La Nina. What is it?
El Nino. Was that this year though, or last
No, that
year?
was a few years ago. But the moisture from that year is gone now.
Yeah.
So we are entering a new period of everything.
New period.
And like I said, no society has had to face this challenge before. So we need to be ready to face it head on. And I'm glad to see that our youth also considers it the number one issue.
I've come upon a quote with numbers.
Tell me.
Hello.
California's fires in 2019 cost more than $163 million to put out. And
that's
the
every year.
Weather forecasting service says the economic damage wreaked by the blazes totaled $80 billion.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's $163 million to put it out, but think about the insurance to the houses,
The damages.
whole cities wiped out.
Yeah.
Paradise, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're in for it.
But the youth is ready to fight back.
Yeah, we're ready and willing, and overwhelmingly our age group believes in climate change. It is the older generations that think it's like a hoax or whatever, a liberal hoax.
Also, 2/3 of young voters are expecting to vote against Donald Trump. So that's another important stat.
Yeah, so let's talk about youth turnout, because that's historically our problem as youth. We just don't show up.
Like me. Relax.
But yeah, so there's some turnout trends that I wanted to point out.
Bruh.
So obviously during the midterm years, we have a decrease, in turnout. That's overall. That's for every age group. There's a decrease in turnout in the midterm years. For youth voters from that says 1986. That's as far back as this goes. 1986 all the way to 2014.
Yeah.
Our voter turnout varied between 20% and 40, or a little above 40% in the Obama years. But practically between 20 and 40% for all of those years through that. It's gone up slightly because voter turnout in general has gone up slightly during the 2010s. But we're still sitting pretty at 33% for 2018.
Are those numbers under the young voters?
So the blue, they can't see this here.
Yeah, but the numbers you said are the...
Yeah, that's youth voters. So
it's still abysmal.
Yeah, it's abysmal. However, yeah, so and then that you compare that to like the 60 plus, and they vary between 50 and 70% from midterm to general election. So that's way more. They're just speaking way more than we are.
And they already exist as a larger percentage.
Yeah. So that's not positive, right? But this year, we've got a very different thing going on.
Whoa.
A poll released by the Harvard University's Institute of Politics said that
Whoa.
63% of 18 to 29-year-olds would definitely vote in this election. That's 13-point uptick from 2016. More than 6 million voters under 30 have already cast their ballots in this election with early voting.
Do you know how many in total? 70 million in total ballots.
70 million in total ballots, yeah. So,
Let's go. Y'all voting.
Yeah, we're voting out here. And that 6 million is up 4 million from 2016 for early voting. Early voting, only 2 million youth people voted early in 2016. The amount of youth who are voting for the first time in this election has nearly doubled. So we have increased the amount of youth that are voting for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, by practically 100%.
So we're active.
Yeah, we're in there. And this is visible in key states. So, for instance, Texas, 800,000 youth have already voted. That's hundreds of thousands, or that's 60. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Reading this all wrong. I'm getting it mixed up in my head. But 66% of them, of these 800,000 youth that have already voted in Texas in early voting, are voting for the first time. 66%. So that's a massive increase in a red state. We don't even know what's going to happen anymore. They put Texas in the toss-up.
Yeah.
So there's not even any swing states leaning to Trump right now.
Biden was up like 4 points in Florida today.
Yeah. It's craziness.
A watch?
Speaking of Florida,
A watch?
500,000 youth have already voted there, which is hundreds of thousands more than did in 2016. And in Pennsylvania, or as I call it, the key to this election, 176,000 youth have cast their vote. So we're already voting in record numbers.
And when you think about how the 2016 election was decided by a few tens of thousands of votes, like these youth voter initiatives, like the one we see in California this year, the Prop 18 to allow youth voters to vote in California.
Yeah. Should have been Prop 17. I'm still upset.
Okay, well. But also, I mean, the Florida initiative to allow felons to vote, even though there's some, issues with that now in the courts and everything, but the demographics are changing, and that will always allow for, more liberal leftist policies to get passed.
And I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit too, but historically, youth vote liberal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they predominantly vote liberal. As you said, 2/3 are planning a vote against Trump, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
but also, it's a good thing because, no matter who they're voting for, there's going to be more representation and more voices heard.
yeah,
So even if you're voting
Bottom line.
against me, maybe you'll vote against Trump in the Republican Party and you'll get a better guy in there or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I think better representation for both sides is obviously what this country needs right now.
yeah.
But
And I
that's
got
a little off topic.
I got a little Biden favorability here that I wanted to do.
Oh, really?
So yeah, the Harvard Youth Poll says that Biden's favorability with youth voters, and this is a week ago that they posted this, stands at 56% favorable, 41% unfavorable. And that's up from 34% in March.
34% favorable.
34%, and it stayed 41% unfavorable. So those people that were like, we don't like Biden, they stayed that way. But the people who were unsure how they felt about Biden jumped on the boat.
Yeah, there's a clear growth right there.
Yeah.
22% jump.
Yeah, so that's massive. And I think that's good for him, right? Especially when we're looking at
Oh, it's
Texas with
amazing.
800,000 youth vote already voting, 500,000 in Florida. We're going to see even more. I mean, this is going to be a record-breaking election for the youth.
It's
I think
people
it'll be
jumping on the bandwagon or whatever. They're jumping on the boat because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we should call it a bandwagon. It's kind of your civil duty to make sure your community stays together.
Yeah, it's a bandwagon. Let's settle for Biden bandwagon.
This ain't the Tom Brady bandwagon, Brandon. We're talking about life or death.
Yeah, this is true. We are talking about life or death, but it's not perfect, right? 56% is not great, but
Better
it's
than
something.
34.
Something.
Hey, that's how they figure stuff out in the highest parts of our government. They're like, oh, well, you got
56.
50s, 56, you're fine. Yeah, let's do it.
Winner.
Yeah.
56 is a pretty good number, though.
It is, especially considering that, what was it like? They didn't they like support like the youth supports Bernie at a significantly higher rate or whatever, and they favor Bernie over Biden. And there were people, there were people worried about the 2016 effect when Bernie voters ended up voting for Trump and whatever.
For sure.
So
not seeing that.
We're not seeing that this time. No. At least not at as high of a rate as it was. But yeah, so that's kind of the voter turnout section there. And we just wanted to talk about that because it seems like it's going up. Seems like it's an increase in our voter turnout, and that's positive. And that's across the board. That's not just youth. That's middle-aged people, older people. Everyone is voting more.
I just hope it becomes more than just an anti-Trump vote. I hope it becomes something that can actually answer for some of the crisis and trials our generation will face coming up.
Yeah, for sure.
These are going to be long-term issues, right?
Yeah, let's talk about some of those trials. Good segue. So the first one that I wanted to talk about, of course, is the protest movement. So unless you've been living under a rock for the last 7 months, we've had a significant protest movement in the United States.
Unrest and uprising. Almost.
Unrest, civil unrest. People throwing stuff at police throwing stuff back at people. It
was sedition.
Burning of buildings.
How dare they?
Treasonous.
Anti-fur.
No, but the point that I wanted to bring up the protest movement for, and that it's largely a youth issue, is that according to the PR Newswire, which does polling, close to 70% of all people who protested over the last few months were in the 18 to 34 range.
Let's go.
70%. 24% were above 55. Less than 10% were in the age range 35 to 54. Oh. The millennials don't care about us.
Okay.
No, some of them do, but not all of them do. And Gen X for sure doesn't give a fuck.
That's an interesting stat. I don't know about the context though.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's interesting that it's a predominantly youth movement. And it's good because we care a lot about these issues, about these social issues and things. So I think it's a positive thing that it's a lot of youth people out there marching the streets. The second thing that I wanted to talk about that a trial that our generation faces is, of course, social media and its effect on democracy. 90% of all people in the age grouping 18 to 29 use social media. 90%. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, stories and Instagram posts and reposts, like that is the main form of communication.
Yeah.
Especially with news and headlines.
And then that means, of course, as we talked about a couple podcasts ago, that they are significantly more likely to run into fake news, to run into, misinformation, all of those things. So that's a problem that we predominantly are going to have to deal with.
Yeah, our lives are going to be a fake news. That's a problem that just began.
And as technology advances, that problem's only going to get worse,
Yeah, exactly.
And then, of course, Brandon, we have to push progressive agendas, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, the Biden cabinet. He's for a long time, he's been fishing for the right wing, the Republican crossovers, appeal to both sides.
That's right.
So it seems like there hasn't been a lot of room for progressives to come in and get their voices heard. I remember when Elizabeth Warren, she thought she was going to be nah. We not seeing her name really come up anywhere. So
she thought she was going to be Treasury Secretary.
Yeah, nah, fam. That's not going to happen, girl.
He's not going to put a progressive in Treasury Secretary. I know I said that a couple times, but
so yeah, that's why I just had to start it off with. It does seem like a lot of people are getting kind of snubbed or left out of the conversation, but we do have Bernie Sanders, who is pushing for the role as Labor Secretary in the White House administration.
Bernie for Labor. I'm getting a sticker.
Which would be an insanely important role for him, where he could directly integrate union power with the government. He could single-handedly change the minimum wage, he could,
Well, not single-handedly, but pretty close.
like there's just so much that he could do in that position.
Yeah, it's a strong position for a progressive.
Yeah, yeah. And so I didn't pull up any clips, but there's been a lot of clips with Bernie being interviewed around that topic. Very inspiring, very powerful.
Look him up.
His voice is always powerful. So I think, honestly, as long as Bernie Sanders is vocal, his team is vocal. We've got Nina Turner, AOC, Ilhan Omar. We've got a very strong progressive movement right now. And I think whether or not anybody gets invited into the actual administration, with all of the new people who've just been elected to Congress and everything, there's a big movement that's gonna come, whether or not it happens all at once. So there is stuff to be hopeful for,
For sure. Yeah, no, I'm appreciative that Bernie Sanders is being considered for any cabinet position. That's not something I would have thought would have happened.
Well,
a
I
couple
don't
months
know
ago,
if he's
but,
being considered.
but he's getting questions around it.
Yeah.
So these reporters know more than they let on.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So there might be some talk or whatever in the Hollywood elite,
And he's great in Senate. He's a fundamental part of our coalition.
His speech literally boosted my political activism. The speech, his filibuster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was early on in my politically active days. I was like, ooh.
And to bring it back to youth voters, I would say Bernie Sanders probably has done that for a lot of people our age, most people.
Yeah, he's really hyped us up for sure.
So, even if he wasn't elected president, his legacy will always be important to the Democratic Party, whether or not they give him the credit for it. So, yeah. So that's amazing. I think I'm hopeful for this administration. I truly feel like Biden's gonna win. I truly feel like we're gonna get some progressive change, and we won't see a worst case scenario. I'm making that declarative statement. I'm hopeful.
Yes, Brandon.
Positivity, baby.
That's what I like to hear. I'm a little hopeful too. I'm still a little scared, but I think that I'll be scared for 1 to 3 weeks. I think.
We've got crises, but we'll face them, Peter.
Yeah. Yes, we will. So I had a little speech here, guys. This is a little embarrassing, but I felt very passionate about it when I wrote it, and I wanted to read it to you guys because I think it's important. So I'm gonna be reading from this, so I hope that doesn't turn people off. I know I should have memorized it, but not enough time in the week,
Oh yeah, definitely. I've honestly been kind of tuning out recently, just because it's so much, and I know it's going to be so much going forward before the actual.
Oh yeah, we have a big show next week, my guy. It's going to be 4 hours long.
Yeah, so I've honestly been kind of a little tuned out this week, so I'm very excited for this piece.
This little piece I wrote. Thank you. Okay. Our generation is facing challenges of incredible magnitude. We're rewriting what this country sees as justice, demanding action on problems that have plagued us for far too long. Was that a phone?
Trying to get slapped.
You think I didn't see that? Learning how to communicate peacefully in a country that is becoming exponentially divided, with technology being created that is only accelerating that problem. This election will bring about a time of political instability unseen in this country since the time of the Civil War. The environment is being rapidly destroyed by fossil fuels and pollution and waste. The ice is melting, as Brandon said. The oceans are rising, as Brandon said. The West has historic fires every year now, and the East and South are being hit by hurricanes more and more.
Every year.
Just in case you forgot, it is us, the youth, that will inherit this great American inferno. All the issues we have ever talked about on this show are going to affect you. We will suffer the consequences that Donald J. Trump, Joseph R. Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, and many of the others won't live to see. There's no doubt we got the short end of the stick. And there is no doubt that we weren't given a fair shot. But the American way has always been to fight against all odds. Not just because we could, not just because we want to, but because we have to. We are obligated to. And I know I don't speak for everyone with this, and I don't even know if I can speak for everyone in this room, but one day I would like to have kids. In fact, I know I will, because one day not too long ago, in a moment of clarity, my mom looked at me and she said, "You're going to have daughters." And I believed her. And so it is for my unborn little girls that I say we have a moral obligation. Don't those little girls deserve to live in a world that keeps them safe and fed? Don't those little girls deserve to live in a world that gives them quality education and effective healthcare? Don't my little girls deserve a chance at making this world a better place, just like the one that we're getting, and the one that our parents got, and their parents got? We have to fight for them, because who else will? Who but me will fight for those little girls? Who but you will fight for your children? We have to protest, petition, call our representatives, and for the love of God, vote, vote, vote. This is our moment. This is our time. This is our world, and we can change it. Maybe even save it somewhere along the way. Thank you very much.
I actually like that a lot more the second time.
The second time hearing it, you liked it?
Yeah, I liked it because.
Thank you.
No, you're right.
And he hits it
Oh, my whole family's crying when they hear this.
Oh my god!
Better for president.
Where did you find that?
But yeah, I mean, I just
Damn,
really
son.
felt that in my heart this morning before, we were going into the show, and I thought that it was important to talk about this, because this is the last show that you guys will see of us before our fate is decided, before the doom of our time is decided.
By
And
other states.
By other state, by Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan, and Arizona.
But I thought your speech was amazing because it goes into how, we can't expect people like our representatives to, save us, especially people who have already been there for 40 years. Like, it's going to be our generation coming in with our ideas that they are just not capable of producing.
Yeah.
So
because they didn't live in the world that we live in. They grew up in a different world, man.
Exactly. And, on the same coin, in 40 years,
in 5 days, the world will change.
our children are going to be like, look at these old people who don't know what they're doing,
Yeah.
So that's what being progressive is. It's about listening and learning and adjusting and always just fighting for your neighbor and
my little girls.
fighting for a cause that doesn't protect you, but it may affect you next time. Like there's that quote about how they came and got the communists and I didn't worry because I wasn't a communist, and then they got the unionists and I wasn't a unionist, and then they got me, but there was no one else to save me. Like that's such a core to just society. Like we need to work together. We need to have faith in each other. We need to
protect each other,
even if it's someone that you might end up having to argue with a week after the election. Mm-hmm. Like I'm sure,
like me and Brandon will.
Yeah, I'm sure this Democratic administration will involve more of us bickering than than just us agreeing about how bad Trump is.
Yeah.
But we have the voice to put pressure on them. So like,
Let's
that's
do it.
16%, baby.
Let's rock the vote.
16%, baby. Come over here with them Modelo, baby.
Yeah, let's crack the Modelos now. We're running into the milk here, and as this is the last one before the election, we figured that we might as well drink a little Modelo. We are all of age, by the way. And this is Harrison Schwartz back here. He's our waiter for the evening.
Hey audience, how you doing? Also a special hi to all you politically savvy ladies out there.
Oh God, get him out of here! Get him out of here!
My grandma is in the audience.
Yeah, my grandma too.
I'm saying hi to her too.
Friends and family.
But as he cracks open these beers and we get ready to do a cheers, we're going to talk about a couple milk stories. The first of which is that Oscar Isaacs is in talk to be Moon Knight.
Who?
On the Disney Plus series. I knew he was going to freak out, dude. That was announced last month. Or that was announced, when everything was going on. Yeah, so Oscar Isaac, I think, would be a great Moon Knight. And for those of you who don't know, Moon Knight is a Marvel hero, kind of an anti-hero, really.
What's Moon Knight?
I still believe that I should play Moon Knight, but it's all good.
I keep feeling like Keanu Reeves should play Moon Knight.
Bro, I got the hair.
You do got the hair. Cheers, Jack Tunney.
Ooh.
Cheers, Harrison.
They're still open them. Oh, they're
Hold
open
on,
over there.
Harrison, bring that glass closer to the mic right here.
Oh, of course.
Oh. But yeah, he might be Moon Knight.
I don't know what
that's
any
cool.
of that stuff means.
Moon
Azra
Knight is
Isaac-
kind of like a Batman-esque character
Brandon,
in the
he's
Marvel
like,
universe.
He's like
that
Batman, but he kills people, and he's like sadistic about it.
yeah, he's better. I would say he's better than
Y'all
Batman.
got Disney Plus?
Yeah, he's gonna be on Disney. I have Disney Plus. You want to watch?
No, I don't
wanna
want to watch.
with me.
I don't know who that is. I don't want to watch. I don't.
Oscar
wanna...
Isaacs was in Star Wars. He played Poe Dameron.
He played beep boop beep.
Oh, okay. I know who that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want you to know that as much as I am excited for this Moon Knight stuff, I will still not purchase Disney Plus.
Yeah, Harrison wants everyone to know that he's not going to purchase Disney Plus, even though he's excited for Moon Knight.
He also called it this Moon Knight stuff after screaming about it.
And then I wanted to wrap up this milk and this episode talking about Borat's subsequent movie film, Delivery of Prodigious Bribe to American Regime for Make Benefit Once Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan.
We watched it together.
Yeah, me and Brandon watched it together one day. It was
Kind of
beautiful.
no
spontaneously. No, it was pretty.
It was very
spontaneous.
spontaneous.
It was like
Yeah, no invite.
Okay, whatever, Jack Tunney.
it was spontaneous.
But yeah, so we watched it and we have some thoughts and feelings, don't we? What are your thoughts and feelings?
I didn't write anything down. But I was gonna just say how I don't think there's any movie that's going to like accurately depict 2020 like Borat can,
Oh, yeah, he nailed it.
because it's just a full-on satire.
Yeah.
So you can just
It might be the best political commentary of all time. It is better than the
It's
first
seriously,
Borat movie.
though. Seriously.
It is better than the first Borat movie. It is disgusting. It is raunchy.
It's just
It-
real.
But it made me feel things. I almost
Oh, yeah.
cried.
Yeah, because I watched Borat. I watched the first Borat, and then I met up with Peter, and then we just ended up watching the second one. But I was saying how the first one is like straight hilarious,
Yeah.
straight just jokes. The second Borat is like a real movie. Like
Yeah,
there's
it made me
character
feel.
developments and the subtext. Because there's like, well, okay, spoiler territory. I'm not gonna say anything too spoilery, but
Yeah, turn off the video if you
I
don't want
mean,
to hear.
the climax of the movie is the Rudy Giuliani thing. Also,
Yeah. Well, we
So-
all know about that, though.
So there's no real spoilers. It's just a fun
Yeah.
time. But he's bringing his daughter over there, and it's like I feel like there's this whole kind of subtext of Americanization of the immigrants,
Uh-huh.
and he has to like allow his daughter to do some of the cultural things.
Uh-huh.
And it's just hilarious.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just hilarious.
I love it, and I felt that the relationship that they formed over the movie too was quite, it was like sweet in this strange way,
It was just. I feel like I've met them before, like
I feel like I knew them.
the immigrants who just moved here barely speak the language. You got the daughter who's a little more on her toes and can help the dad, figure things out. And the dad has to come to understand certain things.
Right.
Like his daughter sleeping in a bed. That's fucked up, dude.
Yeah, it is pretty fucked up. But yeah, we really like the movie. We recommend it to you guys. I think it's kind of the perfect topper to 2020
Yeah.
as it really encapsulates what this year was. And
Right
Sacha
before the
Baron
election.
Cohen is one of the greats. Like he's so good at what he does and so phenomenal at staying in character while people are, like taking him seriously. And
Yeah.
like the amount of people that take him seriously in this film, it's too much. It's
Mm-hmm.
way too much.
Also, it'll have you questioning, is this real? Is this
Yeah.
still real?
I want to know which parts of it are like real and are a little bit scripted or whatever. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's what makes it so amazing because you're at one point, questioning if it's even real, so you're just, disregarding the real or fakeness of it. You're just understanding that this is a commentary on politics. It doesn't matter if it's real, it doesn't matter if it's fiction, It's our lives that we're living in.
yeah,
Like real
Rudy,
events.
Rudy Giuliani, Mike Pence.
CPAC.
Yes, yeah,
They're in Texas.
yeah,
I mean, I need the extended version. I need
for sure. I need the uncut version. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up our show. Unless you have anything more to say on subsequent movie film. Taking kind of a long time here, Brandon.
Brandon, this is a yes/no question.
Yeah, this is a pretty simple question here.
I feel like we could give him something else.
Something else?
We could give him something else.
I don't have anything else written down here.
Just to remind everyone at home, the government did admit to having alien spaceships,
They
and
did.
they
That's right,
haven't
dude.
talked any more about it, and I'm upset. I need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, they only talked about it because it was like a declassified document. So it was just
Show me.
We talk
Show
about
me
this every time,
Show
guys.
me the space Tesla.
We're
Dude,
trying not to
show it
make this
me.
the milk UFO. Talk in the mic if you're going to talk.
All right, I just want to say one thing about like that whole thing. I would feel that Trump supporters would be like way more concerned about the alien information, just because knowing a lot of Trump supporters, myself, some of them just being in my family, they're real big on the alien thing. They're real big on the conspiracy thing. So I really don't understand how they're just kind of glossing over this and they're like, no, but that's not important right now. But it's always been important to you. How are you not talking about this right now?
I got you, Peter. They're worried about Hunter Biden. They're worried about Hunter
Burisma.
Burisma.
They're worried about some other aliens. That's all.
3.5 trillion.
'Ask him about Burisma
3.5 million from the wife's mayor of Russia.
from Russia.
That's what I sounded like one day. Peter almost smacked me.
I almost did, dude. I was mad, but it's fine. I think that is gonna wrap up our show. You know, I wanna let these people go. I want to let them contemplate on you know what is gonna happen, how they feel. You know,
Enjoy these last few moments of
peace and tranquility.
Well, I
if you
mean-
can call it that.
just the Trump era. Hopefully, you know.
Hopefully.
This was a time.
It was a time and a half.
This was hell.
Yeah, on Earth.
I saw hell. I saw the devil.
I saw.
I saw Bolsonaro.
Ooh.
And Jesus Christ.
But we made it through, Brandon. You and me, we did podcasts together, and we talked about the issues, and it was a little bit of therapy.
I
you
just
know?
remember in
And
2016, I didn't think this would happen.
not a lot of people did, not even the people who voted for the man. But
Well,
we shall see. The next
some of
time
them-
that you see us, you may very well have a result to this election. You may very well not.
You may.
But we will come to you nonetheless. Next week is going to be the season finale, episode 10 of the PB&J podcast, and we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back delivering you the news as we do and giving you our commentary and such. We'd like to thank our producer, Jack Tunney,
Jack Tunney.
Hey.
The man on the
greatest.
ones and twos.
our editor, David Whitehead.
Who will be watching this entire thing?
Yes, he will.
Who will edit this one.
Yeah, because we had to make several cuts. We were dealing with technical difficulties, but
He will edit this one this time.
we'd like to thank Harrison for being our waiter this evening. Thank you, Harrison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank you, Brandon.
I just want to thank.
I'd like you thank you for putting on that tie and being tie boys with me tonight. We needed some tie boys tonight.
What do you mean?
Oh no!
What do you mean?
Oh
he's
no!
Coming. He's coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, you knew I had a tie on.
Tie boys, tie boys.
Yeah, I don't want to sound gay, but I'm trying to bang cop.
End it. That was so circular.
Did you end it or no?
It's that
You
Thailand.
ended it?
Do that.
I'm going to Thailand. Thailandia.
So basically, we'll see you next week. Despite the Bangkok comment, good luck, America. We believe in you. We trust in you. We love you.
Despite my-
Good luck.
Vote.
Vote, vote, vote.